On a chilly evening in the heart of a bustling city, James, a blind man in his late 60s, sat on his usual bench at the corner of Willow Street. The world moved around him, busy footsteps, honking cars, and hurried conversations, but James experienced it through sound and touch. Beside him was a small cardboard sign that read, "I'm blind and hungry. Please help." James wasn't always blind. A tragic accident had robbed him of his sight a decade ago, leaving him to navigate a world shrouded in darkness. He'd lost not only his vision but also his confidence, his job, and, eventually, his home. Each day, he sat on the same bench, hoping for a kind soul to spare some change. Yet, the kindness he longed for seemed increasingly rare. One evening, as James sat listening to the city's hum, he heard slow, hesitant footsteps approaching. "Excuse me, sir," a voice said, trembling slightly. It belonged to a young man, perhaps in his early 20s. "Yes," James replied, tilting his head toward the voice. I'm Alex," the man stuttered. "I don't have much to give, but I saw you sitting here and thought you might be cold." James felt a thick woolen scarf drape gently over his shoulders. Surprised, he ran his fingers over the soft fabric. "Thank you," he said, his voice cracking. "Most people walk past without a word." Alex hesitated. "I know what it's like to feel invisible," he admitted. I just lost my job and my apartment. I've been sleeping at the shelter for weeks." James was stunned. He hadn't expected the voice of kindness to belong to someone struggling just as much as, if not more than, himself. "Why help me, then?" James asked softly. "Because," Alex said after a pause, "when life is hard, kindness feels like the only thing worth holding on to." The two talked for hours. Alex described his dreams of becoming a teacher, his love for books, and the loneliness he felt in a city that seemed indifferent to his existence. James shared his story, his loss, and the despair that had clung to him since losing his sight. As the evening turned to night, Alex stood to leave. "I'll come by tomorrow," he said. "Maybe we can figure out a way to help each other." True to his word, Alex returned the next day. This time, he brought a braille book he'd borrowed from the library. "I figured we could start with this," he said with a shy smile. Day after day, Alex and James met at the bench. Alex read aloud from the braille book, learning alongside James. In turn, James taught Alex to see the world through different senses, how to identify a flower by its fragrance or recognize the sound of a bird's wings. Their bond grew, and so did their resolve. Together, they decided to start a small initiative at the shelter where Alex stayed, a reading program for those who felt forgotten. Alex taught others to read and write, while James shared his insights on resilience and hope. One evening, as they sat surrounded by people eager to learn, Alex turned to James. "I got a job offer," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Teaching at a local community center." James smiled. "I told you, your kindness would take you places." "And yours changed my life," Alex replied. Years later, the small reading program grew into a citywide initiative, helping hundreds of people rediscover hope and purpose. James became a symbol of resilience, and Alex, now a beloved teacher, always credited their journey to one simple act of kindness. Heartwarming. In a world often marked by challenges and hardships, kindness has the power to transform lives, both for the giver and the receiver. Sometimes, the smallest gestures create the largest ripples, reminding us that we're never truly alone when humanity binds us together.